Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah, salatu wassalamu ala rasulillah. Okay, so we are on the Al-Hudud, the Kitab of Hudud of Sa'duddin Taftazani rahimahullah. So the definition of Amr, definition of order. When we say order, what do we mean? Obviously, in Arabic language, as well as in English, as well as in many other languages, there is no specific word. No, for example, we have past tense, am I right? We have future tense, present tense, as well as what about the ordering tense, ordering verb. For example, do it, do, okay, do it. If'al, for example. So now my question, in terms of when you are ordering, so in Arabic language we use actually the same tense for many other things. We use it for request, we use it for advice, we use it for command, as well as we may use it for challenge also. Okay, challenge means someone comes to you saying, I will kill you. And you're strong enough, you will get up, you will say to him, kill me then. You're challenging. You are not ordering, but you're challenging. Okay? And then request means, give me a bottle. But maybe you may say, in English actually we do have request tense. I say the order, the same word is used for the order, but it becomes into the request because of extra condition. Because you say, please can you... or for example, give me the bottle, please. So because of please, it became into the request. Yeah. But in itself, as a tense, as like a verb, there is no difference between request and order. Same thing in Arabic. Okay. now question. Order. What is the meaning of order? So all of them surrounding things necessitate few conditions. We say order is Amr is order using a verb, okay, by necessitating something on the second person. But there are conditions. First one is the one who is necessitating should be above you. Okay, why? Because if let's suppose that my daughter orders me to do something. So can you call that order? We say no, that's a request. Buy me this, or father. So is she ordering me? She's asking me. But if the person who is using the verb of order, if he's on the same level as me, so what do we call him? What do we call this verb? We call it advice. Go to the school. You learn. Okay, I'm not ordering. Okay, and so what I'm doing, I'm advising you. So for the order, for this verb to be order, so the one who is using it, addressing it, has to be above you. Either by age, or by rank, or by any some certain thing. King to the citizen. Father to the son. Teacher to... So above, in some certain aspect. Or otherwise, it will not be classified as an order. Now question. What is the consequence of the order? Obviously, there are two situations. One is we have some circumstance, surrounding thing which clarifies it. We go with that one. Am I right? So, for example, Allah says, فَمَنْ شَاءَ فَلْيُؤْمِنْ وَمَنْ شَاءَ فَلْيَكْفُرْ. Anyone wants to be believer, let him to be. And anyone who wants to disbelieve, so let him to. So, circumstances clarifying that God is challenging. God is not ordering us to be disbelievers. Am I right? Yeah. So circumstances clarifying. But question, so in this issue, no disagreement. All of the Ahlul Sunnah, even the Mu'tazila, Shia, everyone said that the circumstance will clarify. But what about if it is out of a circumstance? There is no any explanation. Okay? For example, Quran says, Aqimus salat, atu zakat. So what do we call it? So we say, we Hanafis say, it will stay as compulsion, necessity. some Shafi'is and Mutakallimin, they say it will be mustahab. Okay, Mu'tazila say it will be mubah. Why? Because Mu'tazila say, because if order has got so many meanings, starting from compulsion, advice, request, asking, so what is the least thing? Because all of order and asking, all of them, scholars will agree on the least thing. Am I right?
Yeah.
The least is permission. Am I right? So we go with the necessity, and the extra you have to prove the extra. We disagreed. But on the least one we agreed. Mu'tazila say order means permissible, mubah. Okay, we Hanafi say because order is coming, so for us when order is coming from that person who is above you, so that is enough surrounding proof to say that it is compulsion. Am I right? So it is the same as, what about if a master would order the slave saying, go and get a water for me, without anything, saying, because I'm thirsty. He didn't say that. So if he would say, I'm thirsty, we would understand that it is order. Am I right? So just by master saying, go and get water for me, it becomes compulsory. Am I right? Normally that's what we understand. Or same thing with the father and son.
Custom.
It's
like father when he says something.
exactly
ordered,
because
yeah.
that custom based on the issue that person who is addressing that verb is above you.
Yeah.
So that is enough proof to say that is it. So what do you think if that's the matter between master and slave and father and son? So what do you think about God and slave? Okay, Shafi'is and Mutakallimin, they say because of the proof of both of the sides are quite strong, so in between compulsion and permissibility is recommended, mustahab. So we take that one. So that is actually the disagreement. Okay, so that's why we say the order which is issued by God or Rasulullah without any surrounding explanation, in Hanafi Madhab it is wajib and fard. Okay, fard if it is mutawatir or mashhur, and wajib if it is ahad. Okay, according to Mu'tazila it is mubah unless we have some extra proof to say that it is mustahab or wajib. Shafi'i say initial status of the verb of amr is mustahab unless we have a proof saying that it is wajib or mubah. Okay, so it's just general explanation. Okay, so when I say Hanafi, I mean in fiqh Hanafi and in Aqidah Maturidi, because we use the same principle to derive the Aqidah with Masail also.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. So because anyone denies it, going to be kafir, etc. So all of them is based on this principle. And Nahi, prohibition, is exactly the same thing. Whatever I said about compulsion based on, it is the same in prohibition also. Okay, so it's two things. So he says, further down he says, okay, let's read the text. Haddul Amr, definition of the Amr, order, is istida'ul fi'al, requesting or requiring the action to be happen, bil qawli, by, verbally, okay. When he says verbally, according to Hanafis, is very important condition. Acts of Rasulullah is not necessitating. Even if Rasulullah does continuously, we say in Hanafi madhab, if there is no order but only act, that is not wajib. Why? Because condition of the wajib is bil qawl, verbally. So Rasulullah doing something continuously doesn't necessitate, doesn't mean that it is wajib, but in Hanafi madhab it could be sunnah muakkada. Mimman huwa dunahu, as well as the last condition that it should be, the request, order should be from someone who is above you. So it is addressed to someone who is lower than the person who is addressing. وَمِن شُرُوطِ الْمَأْمُورِ أَنْ يَكُونَ عَاقِلًا فَاهِمًا. And one of the conditions of the person who has been ordered, for the validity of the order, that the person to whom it has been addressed, he has to be عاقل, like intelligent, understanding, فاهما للخطاب, understanding the speech, mukallaf actually. Okay, if you remember, there is some authentic hadith. Okay, again, going against this thing, Rasulullah ﷺ has been asked. Some Sayyidah Aisha actually, it is in our book toward understanding the hadith. Sayyidah Aisha said to ask Rasulullah ﷺ about the kids of mushrikeen, disbelievers. Are they going to paradise? Rasulullah ﷺ said, don't say that. Okay, in some certain narrations they're going to the hell. Sayyidah Aisha said, what's their sin? Rasulullah ﷺ said, Allah knows what they were doing, or Allah knows what they would be doing. Like immature kids dying before the maturity, according to this hadith, go to the hell. So in Hanafi madhab, hadith is authentic from Sayyidah Aisha. Okay, again we say it's going against Quran and Sunnah. Okay, Rasulullah ﷺ says pen is lifted from three people. Mashhur hadith. So insane till he becomes sane, and the asleep person till he wakes up, and immature till he becomes mature. Means there is no sin. Means they do not go to the hell, but they go to paradise. So that's why in Maturidi Aqidah we say the kids of the disbelievers who die as the kids, we say they are the sparrows of paradise. That's metaphorically. Means they go to paradise, no doubt. So, but what to do with this hadith? We say definitely it's error of one of the narrators. Okay? Why? Because for the necessity, brain should be completed. So maturity is the sign of full intelligence. Okay? So it's because of that.
So another controversial hadith clashing with Aqidah and...
It is clashing, yeah.
Ustaz, can we say, without explaining or without giving this kind of information,
Yeah.
reading hadith is also dangerous?
It is dangerous, yeah. Especially for... So it is it is not even if... I don't know, was you with us when we were doing towards understanding hadith?
No.
Imam Malik radiallahu anhu, or one of the scholars, he said, these ahadith are misguidance to the people except those who understand how to handle the ahadith. Because the hadith that are narrated about, the bones of Yusuf alayhi salam, or even this one, if you take it literally, that's it, it's gone. Amaran. That's it, like Aqidah is just finished. Or even if you remember, Sufyan ibn Uyayna, I think, or Sufyan ibn Uyayna, one of them too, said, التسليم للفقهاء سلامة في الدين. Okay, accepting what fuqaha says, that is safety of your religion, of your belief. Okay, as well as there is Ibn Wahab, student of Imam Malik. So he says, لولا مالك والليث لهلكت. Meaning, if there wouldn't be Layth ibn Sa'ad, faqih, Musri, and Imam Malik, I would be misguided, I would die. They said, why? So he said, كنت أظن أن كل حديث يعمل به. Okay, because I used to think that each single hadith you have to act upon it. Till them two fuqaha came and explained. There is another narration of Fadl ibn Dukain, teacher of Imam Bukhari. He says, Zufar ibn Hudayl, Imam Zufar, student of Abu Hanifa, he used to sit in the masjid, and when I used to receive the hadith in the circle of hadith, and before leaving the masjid, he would call me saying, Ya Ahwal, come here. I will teach you how you should be acting with your ahadith. And he would pick up my book, and then he would just sort them out, saying, this is Mansur, this is Nasir, this is left, okay, this is, so explaining. Okay, so obviously hadith is not permissible to be taken like as it is, but definitely you have to go through the fuqaha, who will sort out how to do it. Okay, or for example, what do you think about this hadith, which is authentic? Okay, Rasulullah Islam said, Wallahi, I swear by the name of God, he repeated 3 times. What did he say? Further he said, La imana liman la amanata lah. Anyone who does not have amana does not have iman. Now, if you do not reject hadith, by the name of God, accept this hadith. On top of that, Rasulullah is swearing for 3 times. Do we Muslims say that the person who deceives, cheats, he's kafir? We say no. But hadith says that, La imana liman la amana. The one who does not have amana, la imana la. He does not have belief. You understand? Some of the scholars said, oh, actually Rasulullah, I mean, here he meant perfect iman. Okay, the brothers who studied Nahu, grammar, they know what I'm talking about now. La in here is linafil jins. Means there is no any man, there is no a man. So when I say a man means type of man, male. Am I right? So same thing, la iman, there is no any type of belief. Not perfect and not imperfect also. So anyone who does not have amana, that's it. He does not have any type, not perfect and not non-perfect. So this interpretation came as like just without any meaning. Because la in here is linafil jins. Means no any type of iman. You understand? Yeah, so it is means if we take it, okay, so now it's going to be very wrong. And even there is some there was some incident between the brothers, like Zahiri type of brothers. So they started like taking the hadith literally. So he said, we spent whole day, one of the scholars actually, we spent whole day making takfir on each other and whole night, that we ended up on praying Fajr separately, each single person. So that's what will happen, consequence. You will carry on saying, because there is no iman if you do not have amana, and you've cheated me, last night. Why? Because I gave you 10 pounds to get food, and you didn't get the best one, but the least, That's no lack of amana, means you're kafir. Okay? So that type of thing, So it is dangerous. It is quite dangerous, yes.
But then, Sheikh, if this is dangerous, when today every, sorry to say, Tom, Dick and Harry is buying Bukhari English translation for however much Darus Salam edition and keeping in the house, and even some imams are saying that we should read the hadith, and even some of the brothers on TV like Zakir Naik are saying we should read Bukhari and Muslim and at least try and read those hadiths which are common to those, then everyone's going to end up, because we don't even speak Arabic, so forget like I'm getting confused in Arabic, we'll get confused from translation, and none of these have commentary, do they? Like people wrote commentary on a whole of Bukhari because it's confusing.
So look, for example, in the past, obviously, when there was Uthmani Empire, before them Seljuqis, Mamlukis, Abbasis, etc., so there used to be some controlling body of Islamic academical side. And they used to give permission for only the madhab of Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah. So many, it's like four madhab, Abu Hanifa, etc. But when all of that collapsed, so brothers came, said, you guys are following Abu Hanifa, we guys following Quran, etc. So before, there used to be four madhabs. But when the brothers, they did detach us from the Mujtahideen, Abu Hanifa, Malik, okay, so now everyone is doing his own ijtihad, means now we have millions of madhab, unfortunately. So it's the same as like Christianity,
Protestants.
So they have many madhab, isn't it?
So I shouldn't go and buy Bukhari and start enjoying by myself and think.
We have to just learn it from the authentic scholars, From the, for example, authentic scholars means Shaykh al-Islam ibn Hajar al-Asqalani, radiallahu anhu, his commentary on Sahih al-Bukhari, okay, or Kirmani, again, Shafi'i, okay, or Badruddin Aini, Umdat al-Qari, Hanafi. Okay, that type of like authentic, reliable ones. But if you just go directly, so it's going to be like big controversial issues will come out. Okay, so it becomes that Islam is something ambiguous. In one place we say, for example, prophets' body do not decompose, but there is ijma saying that prophets are alive. Okay, after death they become alive. And in different hadith it says that the bones of Yusuf was collected, when Musa was migrating. That type of things, So uncatchable thing. Yeah, obviously we have to learn the interpretation of the hadith from its authentic sources.
I think there should be a problem of, for example, if people read the or if people say I'm following Ibn Hajar or I'm following someone, but without mentioning all these informations comes from Hadith and Quran, in the society people say you are not following Quran, you are following this these guys.
Which is very insane, you know, which looks very flashy but very wrong.
Yeah.
Very wrong. Because Ibn Hajar is not someone came from the hell in the as a hand by hand with Fir'aun and came to take the Jahannami people, you know. He's a great scholar with huge understanding of Quran and Sunnah, you know. Follower of Mujtahid called Imam Shafi'i. Okay, so that's how. So Allah says, وَأْتُوا الْبُيُوتَ مِنْ أَبْوَابِهَا. There is not any good or people for you to come and enter the houses from the back, you know, but enter the house from the gate. Okay, Allah teaching us. So everything has got its own gate, you know. So if you want to learn the knowledge through its sources. Okay, what is the classical sources? Classical sources is A'imma Arba'a. Okay, and their followers. But coming from the back, from the window, back window, it is just go directly, pick up a book. If you want to follow Quran, pick up Quran and open it and understand it. Or if you want to follow Sunnah, Sahih al-Bukhari is there for you, and then just do it. Okay, so which is very, for example, go back. It is ijma of Sahaba. So when someone would be concerned about some issue in the time of Sahaba or Tabi'in or Salaf Salihin, would they go to the library or bookshop, or would they go to the Grand Mufti who is authorized by the governing body? They would go to the scholar. Okay, but no one would go to the library. But now they're saying go to the library. That's how you will follow Quran and Sunnah. But if you go to a man, you will follow a man. Do you understand? So it is like, do you know, these brothers, they never studied usul, they never studied proper like a masail where Quran clashes with other ayat and hadith clashing with the fatawa of Sahaba and Tabi'in and all of, they never studied this, so that's why for them it's very easy. Just pick up a book, that's what Islam is. But it's not that easy, you know. So if knowledge would be that easy, we would have 1 billion mujtahid scholars in our time, you know. Okay, so even if you go back to the past, we think that we had billions of great scholars. It's not that. The great scholars were few, and the rest, they were students of that few great scholars. So for example, what do you think about, let's say Ibn Abbas. Isn't he great? He used to go to Imam Ali, he used to go to Zayd ibn Thabit, he used to go to Umar radiallahu anhu learning, you know. Do you understand? So it means the top ones, they were very few, and the rest, they would just go to learn from them. Okay, so it's just so wa'tul buyuta min abwab, go into the house through the gate, not through the window.
Sheikh, what you said about Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu, so actually even amongst the Sahaba, only few used to give fatwa, isn't it?
Only very few, very few.
Out of 100, however many thousand Sahaba there were.
Exactly, 124,000, only few. And even, for example, if there would be any big problem coming, so Umar radiallahu anhu would bring the Ahl Badr. Why Ahl Badr? Because they are early Sahaba, they spend longer time learning. But what about the rest of the Sahaba? No, even there is statement of Umar radiallahu anhu saying, the Khilafah leadership will stay with the earliest Sahaba, and those who accepted Islam by Fath and after Fath, they have nothing until there will be at least one, the earliest one. So the new Muslims, the new Sahaba, they do not have a right of the leadership, because leadership is guiding the people. So not each single Sahaba, you know, not each single Sahaba. So even Muaz ibn Jabal, there are many stories of Muaz ibn Jabal coming to Damascus and many Sahaba sitting around him, speaking, but only when it would be the matter of halal and haram, everyone would stop talking except Muaz ibn Jabal. Okay, or do you know, for example, Rasulullah ﷺ describing, anyone wants to read Quran as it was revealed to me, so let him to read as Ibn Mas'ud. Okay, so what do you think about it's very huge statement, isn't it? Many Sahaba are there, but not everyone is allowed. Him, learn it from him. If you want Farad, go and learn from Zayd, but not from everyone. Okay, so it is very good thing. There was statement of one of the scholars actually saying that all of the Sahaba are mujtahids. It's over exaggerating. over exaggerating, you know. Yeah, so in Islam nation we never had 124,000 mujtahid scholars. There were only few all the time.
I think we're just getting confused because of our huge respect for Sahaba.
We love them all.
So
all
they're
of them
much better than us. But within
no,
them there's different
exactly.
levels.
We Hanafis, we give them high respect than Salafis.
Yeah.
We saw Sheikh Albani said that Abu al-Ghadiya Sahabi is going to the hell.
Yeah.
Where did he get it from? Okay, so we Hanafis, we say all of them are just, you know. So we have higher love. But us loving them, Imam Tahawi said, us loving the Sahaba and Ahlul Bayt, it shouldn't be in the credit of them exaggerating or disowning some other. By loving Sahaba we disown Ahlul Bayt, or by loving Ahlul Bayt we disown. It's not that, but all of them on their level. We love all of the Sahaba, but mujtahideen among them there were few. Okay, Umar radiallahu anhu, Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, Uthman, Ali ibn Abi Talib, Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas, okay, Abu Ubaid, so all of them, category, okay, but not, for example, the Sahaba who came to see Rasulullah only once. They were, for example, from like a forest, for example, they came to ask Rasulullah only one question and then they went back, they became mujtahid. We do not believe on that one. Even in Hanafi madhab, Sahaba are split into two. One is known by fatwa and one is known by narration. Okay, even Isa ibn Aban says, if the hadith which is narrated by the one who is known by fiqh will be conflicting with the hadith of the one who is known by narration, we give priority to the one who is known by fiqh because he understands. Okay, now for example, do you know there was a conflict between the hadith of Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu and what Sayyidah Aisha stated. Ibn Abbas also stated. So by lifting the janaza, your wudu is invalidated. Okay, so then Ibn Abbas said, "Oh, Abu Hurairah, so do you mean that by lifting bamboos we have to go to renew our wudu?" That's it. So because so that is just narrator of hadith. Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu, great scholar of hadith. Okay, but Ibn Abbas and Ibn Mas'ud say that Aisha, they are people of fiqh. They understand, they distinguish. Okay, so the next is Sahih and Batil and Fasid. Sahih and Batil and Fasid is actually things normally. Sahih is valid, Batil is not valid. Fasid, what is the Fasid? So actually in Shafi'i madhab, Batil and Fasid, there is no any difference. So Sahih is valid. For example, when you perform, for example, namaz according to all of the conditions, so we call it Sahih. Okay, Sahih act. Okay, Batil is when you will miss one of the conditions. You perform namaz without facing Qibla deliberately or without wudu. We say batil. Okay? So then question, so then what is the fasid then? So we Hanafis say, in the chapter of ibadah there is no difference between batil and fasid. Both is not valid. But in the muamalat, batil differs from the fasid. According to Shafi'is, again no difference. No difference between batil and fasid, nor in ibadat and nor in muamalat. We say no difference only in ibadat, but in the muamalat there is difference. How? So we say, in terms of muamalat, transactions for example, buying, selling, so batil is something which is not valid by its nature. Okay? But fasid, it is valid by its nature, but not valid because of extra condition. For example, batil transaction is something which does not have its substance, its nature. How? What is the meaning of buying and selling? Buying and selling means exchanging the valuable thing for valuable thing. Exchanging the valuable thing for valuable thing, that is transaction, buying and selling. But then question, what is the meaning of valuable? So we say it is either, the item has value either traditionally according to custom, or either it has value according to the religion. Means if you exchange something which does not have a value, that is batil. Not having a value either by custom or either by religion. For example, I will just pick up a dust and then I will sell it. So that is batil transaction. Why? Because dust just picking up, it does not have a value. Okay? Or I will just pick up a water. What is that? I will just pick up saying that is for example. So it is not valuable. So it means that custom can set up a value. Do you know, for example, silk worm, or what do they call it, which produces silk?
A silkworm, yeah.
Silkworm, isn't it? So in the earliest period of Islam, it wouldn't have a value because we wouldn't produce it. Okay, so then when it became popular amongst Muslims to produce silk, so then some of the fuqaha were confused because early scholars said it is batil transaction. So they were confused, saying you cannot do it unless these conditions are there, you know. But then we say custom can set up a value for something which was not valuable before. Okay, so that is one thing, batil, as well as the value could be because of a religion. For example, what do you think about pork meat? For Muslims, it does not have value. Am I right? Means selling a pork is batil for Muslims. But what about non-Muslims who are living in Muslim land? It is valid for them because in their religion, pork has a value. But in Muslims, it does not have value. So that's why selling, if some Muslim sells pork to another Muslim, we say that is batil transaction. So that is batil. Means exchanging something which does not have a value, either according to the custom or either according to the religion, that is batil. Okay? So what is fasid? We say fasid is something, as a nature, it is valid, but it's not valid because of extra condition. How? For example, I will say to you, I will sell my car to you, £10,000. Is it okay? Yeah, because £10,000 is valuable, my car is also valuable. But then I will say, but with the condition that every month for 3 days I will use my car. We say now it is invalidating the transaction because there is extra condition which is not included according to the custom into the buying and selling. So we say, what type of invalidation? We say it is fasid. Why? Because naturally, in terms of its nature, it is valid transaction. But non-validity occurs to it because of extra condition, which was not in the transaction. Okay? So that's why we Hanafis say there is difference between batil and fasid in the muamalat, but there is no any difference in the ibadat. Okay, so that is actual thing. So then, what is the difference between okay, so in terms of understanding, definition, batil and fasid, but in terms of its consequence, is it the same as Shafi'i say? We say, so in terms of Imam Shafi'i radiallahu anhu, he clearly stated, he said, batil and fasid are equal, that's why consequence will be equal also. Means, I am selling you dust, just pick up a dust and I will just say, oh, I will just pick up air and then I will just sell it to you. Okay, so you paying me, so that money belongs to you, even if you will pay it to me by so because that money belongs to you. Okay, same thing, this condition when I sold my car. So car belongs to me and money belongs to you. So even if I'm grabbing your money, this money is yours. I'm responsible for it. But according to Hanafi madhab, batil does not give you any ownership, obviously, as Imam Shafi'i radiallahu anhu said. But in terms of fasid, it is not valid. But when, you will make the payment, I will own the money and you will own the car. but it is wajib to be invalidated because of that extra condition. So the difference in terms of its definition, as well as there is difference in terms of its consequence also. Okay, so between Shafi'is and Hanafis. Okay, so that is in terms of Sahih, Batil and Fasid. Now, Al-Mandub and Sunnah and Mubah, Makruh, etc. Mandub and Sunnah. Nadaba in Arabic language means praising or describing its virtues. Okay, so for example, before they used to make in janaza, in the janaza there used to be one person walking before the like a coffin and describing the virtues of the dead person. So they used to call him that he is doing nadab. Okay, describing its virtues. So that is the literal meaning. But in the Sharia terminology, mandub is an act, not compulsory, but it is recommended to be done. Okay, mandub. So mandub in fiqhi terminology, obviously it has two synonyms or three synonyms, you can say. Mandub is sunnah but غير مؤكدة, okay, as well as mustahab. Okay, so them three are synonyms. Mandub and mustahab and sunnah غير مؤكدة or sunnah mustahab. All of them are synonyms. Okay, but what about the sunnah? So sunnah is ما رغب الشارع فيه ولم يوجبه. Sunnah actually is sunnah. It is something that Rasulullah ﷺ did continuously but without ordering. Okay, if you remember, in the definition of amr, we mentioned that amr is order, verbal order. Okay, so that's why fard and wajib cannot be set up by anything but except verbally. Okay, do it. But what about the action Rasulullah ﷺ doing continuously? Some of the Hanafi scholars, earliest ones, said Rasulullah doing continuously without missing it at all, that proves its necessity. So that is wajib. But that is weak opinion in Hanafi madhab. Mu'tamad opinion, Rasulullah doing continuously without missing, that proves sunnah muakkada. If that is not natural thing or habitual thing. Habitual thing, for example, Rasulullah wearing some certain clothes, okay, all the time, for example, which never happened. Rasulullah used to wear many different clothes. Okay, I'm saying, or for example, habitual thing, habitual or natural thing. Rasulullah having has sometimes up to the shoulders, sometimes up to here. Okay, so we say there is no sunnah in there. There is no sunnah muakkad. Why? Because even though if it used to be all the time, okay, but it was either habitual or other natural things. So for something to be sunnah muakkada, it shouldn't be cultural, okay, habitual, nor it should be something based on the environment. Okay, for example, the custom. Okay, so for example, Rasulullah ﷺ praying, do you know the sunnahs of Fajr and Dhuhr and etc. So Rasulullah never missed that, all the time, continuously doing. So that proves it's sunniyah, sunnah muakkada. Okay, so now, because we're talking about them issues, mustahab, sunnah ghair muakkada and mandub, all of them are equal. Sunnah ghair muakkada, sunnah mustahabba, mustahab and mandub, all of them are synonyms. Sunnah muakkada and sunnah muakkada is slightly different. Obviously, in terms of mustahab, if you do it, you're rewarded. But if you do not do it, are you sinful? We say no. That is ijma'i masala in Hanafi madhab. Okay, but in terms of sunnah muakkada, if you do it, obviously you are rewarded. But if you do not do it, are you sinful or not? Minority say, Halabi for example, as well as subcontinent, both of Deobandis and Brelwi, they do believe that you are sinful if you do not perform it. But Mu'tamad position, which Sidi Abul Ghani and Nabulsi and everywhere it is in the Hanafi books, they say that you will be blameworthy, but you will not be sinful. Okay, even in Fatawa Shami. In Fatawa Shamiya, there are two statements. In one, Ibn Abidin says you are sinful, and in the other, he says you are not sinful but blameworthy. So in terms of being blameworthy, that's 100%. But is there any sin? We say no. Okay, and even Sheikh Abdul Hayy al-Laknawi went one step further, saying not performing Sunnah Muakkada is makruh tahriman, and committing makruh tahriman is a major sin. It is, we say, too much. Okay, because first of all, there are two mistakes. One is not performing, missing Sunnah Muakkada is not makruh tahriman, but opposite of makruh tahriman is wajib. As opposite of makruh tanzihan is Sunnah mustahabba. So what is opposite of Sunnah Muakkada? We say isa'a. Isa'a is between Sunnah Muakkada, between makruh tanzihan, Sunnah mustahabba and wajib. Okay, so makruh tanzihan, that is opposite of mustahab. Makruh tahriman, opposite of wajib. But in between there is Sunnah Muakkada, opposite of isa'a. So isa'a, there is no sin, but there is blameworthy. Person will be blameworthy. But now question, what's the meaning of being blameworthy? So there is weak opinion and strong opinion. In the weak opinion they say Rasulullah is going to blame you in Yawm al-Qiyamah. In another narration it says that Rasulullah is not going to make shafa'ah on you. Again, exaggerating. Unfortunately, in many Hanafi books of the latest scholars, it exists. Anyone who misses Sunnah Muakkada is going to miss the shafa'ah. First of all, hadith is fabricated. First thing. And the second thing is, isn't it that Rasulullah says, Shafa'ati li ahli al-kaba'iri min, my shafa'ah is for my nation who committed major sin. So if for you guys, missing Sunnah Muakkada is major sin, so then it's exactly for you guys. Shafa'ah is for you. So it is just, they brought weak hadith to insert it into the fiqh books. We do not believe on that one. Okay, that's first point. And the second point, obviously we rejected that not fulfilling the Sunnah Muakkada is major sin. We do not go with it. We disagree with Sheikh Abdul Hayy al-Laknawi. On top of that, we disagree with Laknawi that makruh tahriman is major sin. We disagree with him on this one. But what's the major sin? There is very big controversial issues in terms of a major sin. And also not each single haram is major sin also. Yeah.
What's the correct opinion for the blameworthiness?
Yes. So we're still speaking about. So first opinion they say in Yawm al-Qiyamah Rasulullah is going to blame. Okay, that is weak. But the authentic, mu'tamad position in Hanafi madhab, as you know, judge has a right to punish the citizens because of them not fulfilling some certain duties. Am I right? Okay. For example, someone is doing black magic. So, Qadi has a right to punish them. Am I right? Okay. Or for example, someone is doing some, not paying zakat, not praying, for example, namaz. So, Qadi will have a right to punish. But what about missing Sunnah Muakkada? We say Qadi has a right only to blame, saying why you are not doing, but there is no any punishment. Do you understand? So that's the meaning of blameworthy. So blame is not from the Prophet, but it's from the Qadi. Because there are many things you may do, but Qadi doesn't have a right to speak anything to you, you know. For example, let's say you are eating, for example, you are eating crabs.
Yeah.
In Uthmani Empire, for example. Shaykh al-Islam in Uthmani Empire is Hanafi. Qadis will be Hanafis. They do not have a right to blame on you. Why? Because even if in Hanafi madhab it is haram, but in Shafi'i it is halal. Do you understand? So even if Qadi will see you, he doesn't have a right to say anything to you. But if it is agreed upon Sunnah Muakkada, then only Qadi can blame. But what's the meaning of blaming? Is not shouting, but saying why you do not do some certain thing. Did you understand? Yeah. So that's the meaning of blameworthy. Yeah.
So Qazi means Qazi, not like Imam in mosque, not some
no,
guy
muftis
at work.
and no. A Qadi means like an official appointed person. Because if each single person who has some knowledge will start doing the politics, so then where is the government?
Anarchy. It's anarchy.
Exactly. So in terms of like massive things, it is by the permission of the government. Okay, or by someone who is authorized by government. Yeah.
I've heard that if you miss muwakkada as a habit.
No, we're going to talk about it.
Okay.
So that is like a sunnah muakkada. Okay, so then for you to be blameworthy for missing sunnah muakkada, it should be again agreed upon sunnah muakkada. Okay, yeah.
Can we also say, if you do not perform the sunnah muakkada, you will be deprived of the rewards. That's why, in terms of yourself, you will be blameworthy because your nafs did not obey.
You will blame yourself.
Yeah.
Okay. It's a good point. But anyway, them are two opinions which is given in our books actually, and the second one is the most reliable. Yeah.
So Sheikh, what about people who say for enjoining the good and forbidding the evil?
Yeah.
So like I have a right, like if I see Goha and he's like just prayed Maghrib and he didn't do the 2 sunnats. Yeah. So to enjoin the good, even though I'm not Qazi or Imam, nothing, I just say to him like, oh, why don't you, like, but in a blameworthy way, like, confronting him. It's not allowed, or is it enjoining the good?
There are, first of all, in terms of like making some public things and prohibitions, so just going, for example, to the market and saying, oh, this is haram, don't do it, stop. So you need permission from the government. Okay? But, for example, everyone is responsible for some certain people. For example, father in his family can do it. Okay? But then for that also conditions needed. So you have to know for sure. But not you thinking, but you have to know the reference, mu'tamad reference.
Right.
For that one. And on top of that, the thing which you are forbidding, it should be agreed upon. And you have right to forbid only from 2 things. Haram and makruh tahriman, and both should be agreed upon. Okay, but what about, for example, sunnah? Or something called sunnah. For example, wearing this type of Arabian clothes. It's not sunnah, it's nothing in Islam. And then you saw me and I'm imam, for example. Do you have a right to blame me or to stop me? We say no. But people, they imagine, they think, they assume that it is Islamic.
Yeah.
So that's not permissible. You have to have authentic reference for you to start forbidding. And the forbidding thing has to be only haram or makruh tahrima, agreed upon ones.
So I think this is a bit abused then in today's universities and stuff, because I myself, we would go around like, you can say like talking to people and saying, why don't you do, but it's just sunnah things, like beard, and or like saying, why don't you have it this long? But so I don't have right because I'm not Qazi
Of
anyway.
course.
So
Obviously,
it's wrong to do that.
Of course, it's not problem. Obviously, in terms of a beard, we Hanafis are the most strict people. We say sunnah muakkada. Malikis and Shafi'is, they say it is mustahab.
Oh.
Okay, and in Shafi'i madhab, they say it is adab.
So we are the most strict.
We are the most strict people.
And
mashallah, Salafi brothers, they became the most strict, but in the Hanbali madhab, it is actually, it's sunnah muakkada as we say. But according to Salafi brothers, it became into the level of fard. Yeah, so it's, but, or otherwise, we Hanafis are the most strict, so we say sunnah muakkada.
So I don't have right to start?
No, you do not. Because first of all, it's agreed upon, and the most reliable opinion says sunnah muakkada. You only in sunnah muakkada only qadi has a right to blame, or authority has a right to blame.
So I don't have that right. Like my dad has right to say to me, like, oh, Burhan, why don't you pray your, sunnats or whatever? He has right as father.
Only qadi has a right.
Or even within family, he doesn't
have. In sunnah muakkada, no. But in wajib, missing wajib, why do not pray? For example, your witr. Your father has a right.
But not even for sunnah, father can't say.
No, in sunnah only qadi. We said qadi, authority, governor, president, prime minister, governor can do it.
So definitely we can't say to like, say he's my friend. I can't say to him and like
you can advise. You can advise, but blaming, no. No, look, blame is not easy word, you know. Advice is gentle to the heart, but when you blame, it causes friction. So if everyone will start blaming, so where is what's happening in Egypt? So it's not the matter of one day. It just built up, you know, by them people blaming each other. So hatred built up, now it just exposed. Yeah, so we have to just let it to the, because Allah says, أطيعوا الله والرسول وأولي الأمر منكم. The government, governors, you know.
So enjoining the good is not like vigilante thing.
No,
like
no,
I just
no.
get my jabba and I go
No.
around and start giving
No.
hard time to sisters.
No, it has
or,
got its own conditions. It has got its own fiqh and knowledge.
I do wish we knew these kind of things at university, because actually now, according to like what you're saying, we were basically just like almost like terrorizing people.
Yeah.
And, yes,
And you know, there is this type of bit, someone is committing even major sin. And you are, for example, authorized person. For example, you will see one of your students. And for example, you are the, for example, manager of university. So you're authorized person, okay, to correct them. You saw your student committing major sin. And you know for sure that if you go to stop him now, he will commit kufr. Now we say for you to go to stop him is haram. What do you think? So there is fiqh actually. You have to apply everything, you know. Now, for example, what do you think about Khidr alayhi salam killing that kid? What did he show excuse? So he said if Allah knew that if the kid would grow, he would make his parents to commit kufr.
big deal.
So Allah just prevented that, you know. So it is Amr Ma'ruf and Nahy is based on fiqh. So for example, now we have in some of the countries, do you know 5 times a day, praying in the masjid is fard. Okay, but in Hanafi Madhab we say to pray in Jama'ah is wajib, but to pray in the masjid is mustahab. Okay, so but they go and they check, you know, and it causes like hatred against the Islam, you know. So because it's not necessary to pray in the masjid, because Rasulullah said, someone praying in the masjid and praying in his own shop, there is difference of 27 levels, rewards. So if it would be fard, if it would be a matter of fard and haram, would Rasulullah compare them in terms of reward? No, Rasulullah would compare in terms of validity and non-validity. Do you understand? Yeah, so it's not something that you will just go by cars and etc. And even I was in the library, in the university, okay, and Azan was there, it was Dhuhr time, and I was just copying some manuscript. And I didn't hear Azan, okay, and then suddenly someone came, very like tough person, mashallah, from my, you didn't pray, are you kafir? Because in their madhab, not praying is kufr. But I didn't know that not praying with Jama'ah is kufr, but for them is maybe.
Okay.
But I was writing, so I was scared what happened. So he said, oh, you are jailed, let's go. And then he took me.
Wow.
But I was in the university, like a library, a manuscript library in the university, you know.
Which country it was?
I was in Saudi actually.
Okay.
I was in Riyadh. So it was...
I think there's only one country where that's
yeah, this never happened. Rasulullah says, "Halak al-mutanatti'un." The people who dig very deep, they're destroyed. Have you heard ever, for example, Rasulullah saying, Abu Bakr and Umar saying, do this to the people and jail them? It never happened.
Well, Sheikh, I think this is interesting because it's one of the sticks that the non-Muslims beat us with.
Yeah.
And some of the people will be interested because the stories about Saudi Arabia are very famous in terms of enforcing certain dress and what you described. And also now in some parts of Southeast Asia, like I believe in one part of a certain country, you have the police who go to hotels, like the religious police. They are not elected, they're just like vigilante, you know, like enjoining the good, forbidding the evil. And going into hotels, and let's say I'm staying with my wife, so they'll come and like just open the door, like we could be doing anything, and like show me your marriage license. And this is in a very actually advanced country.
That's not
I don't want to name
permissible.
it, but
that is included into the wala tajassasu. Do not spy on each other.
But taking really going far with this idea of forbidding the good.
That is tanattu. Halak al-mutanatti'un. Okay, the people who dig into it, they are destroyed. Hadith, authentic. Okay, in different hadith, Rasulullah says, Inna dina yusrun fa'ughilu fi inna dina sahlun fa'ughilu fihi bi yusr. Deen, the religion is easy, so deep into it by ease. وَمَا شَادَّهُ أَحَدٌ إِلَّا شَدَّهُ. No anyone will be digging very deeply unless he dies. Guess, so that's what Islam is. But unfortunately, our understanding is a bit like locked. Anyway, So that is sunnah muakkada. Okay. So the last thing is in terms of some of the scholars, Hanafi scholars say, if you miss the sunnah muakkada just once or twice, that was blameworthy. But if you do it habitually, so then when you are committing a major sin, obviously the mu'tamad, it doesn't matter, once, twice, or all the time. Okay, so if you do it once, twice, there is nothing, there is no blame. But if you do it continuously, then where there will be blame. Okay, Qadi will have a right to blame. Okay, that's one thing. From the other side, some of the Hanafi scholars said, again the latest one, leaving the sunnah continuously, habitually, is kufr. But then, obviously, it's over exaggerating, you know. Look, there are two different things. Leaving sunnah because of humiliating, that is kufr. So you do not do it because you say, who is Muhammad, why do I have to? So that's obviously kufr. It's not the matter of leaving sunnah, it's leaving belief, you know, leaving the Prophet. So that's totally different thing. But someone does it out of laziness. Okay, or for example, he's busy, or just doesn't want to do it, but not because of disrespecting it. So there is respect in the heart. We say he's blameworthy. That's it. Blameworthy by whom? By the leader, governor, or qadi. So that is the thing.
Sheikh, sorry to interrupt, but again, this kind of exaggeration is going to turn people off Islam.
No,
I mean, it's going really far to make me pray sunnah. You're threatening me with kufr and eternal hellfire. It's a bit overboard. Like I say, if you smoke one cigarette, you will die immediately. And then now, so once the people find out that's not true, they will never come to me again as doctor.
Exactly,
They'll just say you're a liar.
Yeah, exactly. So all of them extras was built up by the latest Maulana, Shuyukh and scholars. You know, if we go to the purest route to Imam Abu Hanifa, Imam Zufar, you see that you're actually practicing a religion. You know, not practicing like cannibalism or something.
Sheikh, to clarify, does that mean that under the mu'tamad, even if you leave continuously, habitually, but just through weakness, maybe
laziness,
laziness or weakness,
that's it,
then the most it reaches to is blameworthiness.
That's it,
and without, per se, consequences in the akhirah.
No, there is not any. In Yawm al-Qiyamah there will not be anything.
So there's not that much difference in the mu'tamad. There's not actually that much difference from the jumhur of the other madhahib in terms of
definition of sunnah.
The sunnah, the way they look at mandub. Because the way that most of the Maulanas do it is, this is causing big sin. If you're missing sunnahs.
Yeah, obviously, the difference is only in the reward. So the reward of mustahab and mandub is less than the reward of sunnah muakkada.
Yes.
But then look, just be careful. Very, very scary thing. Maulanas normally use it to scare us. They say, فَمَنْ رَغِبَ عَنْ سُنَّتِي فَلَيْسَ مِنِّي. Anyone who leaves my sunnah is not one of me, is not with me. Rasulullah never used the sunnah as fiqhi terminology. Sunnah in the word of the Prophet is the way, path. Anyone who... But then Abu Hanifa and Imam Malik radiallahu anhu, them people, fuqaha, came to set up some terminology called sunnah, but it's not the same terminology which was used by Rasulullah. So the sunnah which is used by Rasulullah and by Sahaba is different to the fiqhi terminology. Okay, so sunnah in them, in Sahaba and Rasulullah means the way of being. Okay, so like a habit of Rasulullah in the life. Okay, because in which context it came? For example, it came in the context of, three people came to say the Aisha saying, actually we do not reach to the level of Rasulullah, but anyway, one of them said, I never leave my fast. I fast every day. The second said, I never marry. Third said, I never sleep. Okay, so that was the context. So then Rasulullah said, I marry women and I pray in the night as well as I sleep, as well as I eat and I fast. Rasulullah was not talking about the fiqhi sunnah, but Rasulullah was talking about the habit of living. Okay, so when Maulanas use this type of a hadith saying that you are going to be sinful, just clarify the issue, saying that the sunnah which is used in the time of Rasulullah is different to the fiqhi sunnah. Okay, so that is actually different. And just also, even if you go with Maulanas, look in the text. Rasulullah says, Man raghiba an sunnati. So raghiba an is different to the taraka. Taraka is not doing, raghiba an is inclined against the sunnah, being just detached, you know. So leaving, not doing is different to not desiring the sunnah, desiring different thing to the sunnah. Okay, obviously, even if we go that sunnah is, as Maulana is saying, that it is the fiqh sunnah, so the brothers who are not fulfilling the sunnah is not because they do not desire it or they're inclined against the sunnah, but it's out of laziness. So it is, they're living, but not, they're not like inclined against the sunnah, you know. So it's not that. Okay. So them things are very important. So that's why I'm saying, you know, so as further you go with all of them, Maulanas, it doesn't matter, Hanafi, Shafi'is, the latest ones, that much extra things you will build up, you know. Just go to the root. Okay, Abu Hanifa, because Abu Hanifa is the student of the junior Sahaba and senior Tabi'in. Okay, so their understanding is like purer. Okay, so it will make the understanding of Islam better. Yeah.
Is the terminology is that common, widely known among the contemporary Hanafi?
Which one?
Isa'a.
Isa'a.
Yeah, is that commonly known by the
But by now?
Yeah, by the
No.
Maulanas.
No, it's not known, but it is in our authentic books.
Okay.
Yeah, so you can find it in the Fatawa Shami as well as the books of Sidi Abdul Ghani Nablusi.
So is this why they're making these errors?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
So they say missing. So it's Sheikh Abdul Hayy Laknawi did mention it in his book. Okay, where he says missing Sunnah Muakkada is makruh tahriman, and then he brought quotation from Hanafi early scholars in which he said, in which the Hanafi scholars said, makruh tahriman is the type of minor sins. Sheikh Abdul Hayy Laknawi said it is incorrect, but makruh tahriman is major sin. You understand? So that far we went actually. Yeah.
So Sheikh, who is like Sheikh Abdul Hayy Laknawi is from India? Like
Yeah, he's from. He's a great scholar, but everyone has some certain mistakes. Made beautiful books, you know. Yeah, I studied his At-Ta'liq al-Mumajjad, Sharh of Muwatta of Imam Malik by the narration of Imam Muhammad. Brilliant scholar, but everyone has got his own mistake. I think somehow maybe culture is affecting, maybe somehow. Yeah, so you know, one thing I do not like. Look, brain has great value, but there is barriers in the way of the brain, because the enemies of a human being, shayateen, jinnah, they don't want us to use our brain, because when we'll use our brain, we'll start understanding what Allah wants from us, from His book. Am I right? So keep us not using the brain. How? Many ways. If you are disobedient, then there are alcohol, there are drugs, many other things. And if you are obedient, so then scare us. The person who is scared cannot use his brain properly. Am I right? For example, let's suppose that you have a gun in your pocket. Lion jumps on you. Now you are scared. You forget that you have a gun, you know. So keep us scared, you know. Sunnah muakkada, not doing it, major sin. Major sin Allah does not forgive, you know. So just cause like a fear, so I don't use my brain. So it's way of intoxicating the people.
But Sheikh is lying then, isn't it?
100%. It is all not knowing.
I don't want to personalize it too much, but my experience with this, I did come across these type of fatwas as a Hanafi myself.
Yeah.
And then I used to be very strict on following sunnahs and this, many of the things you're mentioning.
Yeah.
And then when I found out it's not true, I hate to say this, not to discourage people, but then I just left it completely.
Yeah.
And then I was like, you know, you have like ego and stubbornness, and unless you have to so if you don't study how to control, so then you just get angry and you say, I'm not going to do it. Like you lied to me, so I won't follow you.
Exactly. Yeah.
So
We have doctor of psychology. Please correct me if I'm wrong. There is, do you know, person who is feeling a sin, and person who's not feeling sin. Which one of them will have fresher understanding of the things which is happening?
Of course, the not feeling.
Excellent. So that's what we mean, you know. Our Muslims, because they're not there is no beard, not wearing the like shalwar qamis, so they feel, in their mind they're committing sin, but they're not committing sin, you know. So their brain is not functioning properly. All the time they will be ashamed or they will be afraid of thinking about religion, because straight away something from inside says you are sinner. Yeah. Where is your beard? So he will not think properly, you know. He will not produce. So creativity and productivity is not there. Why? Because of these type of things, you know. Like makruh tahrima. First of all, opposite of sunnah muakkada is isa'a. And makruh tahriman is major sin. Major, and not each single haram is major sin, you know. There are some certain harams, minor sin. I don't want to mention them to encourage the people to do, but major sins, maybe you can count them, you know. Because Islam, for example, came to make, so our religion is the easiest religion. Allah said to us, be proud because your religion is the easiest religion, you know. So then they bring one hadith in which someone came to Ibn Abbas, I don't accept this hadith obviously, he came to Ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu saying, oh Ibn Abbas, is it right that major sins are only 3? Ibn Abbas said, number of major sins is closer to be 300 than 3. I say, someone made up this story. Just to make us all the time to be ashamed, you know, like we're sinful, just be ashamed, away from the people, fear, major sin, hellfire. It's not that. We're free people, you know. We're free. So stay free, okay? Use your brain. Just be free, man, you know. Say it like that. Don't scare us. Don't scare us, please. So that is actually sunnah. But it does mean that we're encouraging the people to not to do. But we're encouraging the people to not to make up stories, extra stories, which is not in the religion. Okay, because only God and Messenger, they have a right to order and to forbid and to set up a punishment and to set up a mercy. Okay, we only are narrators. Shuyukh, Mawlans, we are only narrators of what Allah and Prophet decide. But we do not have a right to give our understanding. Okay, because understanding will be affected by surrounding thing. What is the surrounding thing? I'm Uzbeki, so Uzbeki culture is surrounding me. So it shouldn't dictate on my understanding of Quran and Sunnah. Okay, so it's very important.
Can I say one thing? One thing I remind, you know, Ifrat, borns tafrit.
Exactly, yeah.
That's why we should, you know.
Exactly, yeah, 100%, 100%, yeah, 100%. Yeah, so as much as you tighten the life of the people, that much they just release everything and they say, I don't care. Okay? And, so, you know, like millions of academicals now, who do not have a, for example, be it Muslims, so we're just like limiting their brain. So, because when we speak about Islam, straight away they think about them things, you know, be it and other things, which is not in, for example, in that level that they're talking about. So we're losing all of them academicals, hugest brains of a human being in our time, you know. So it is strange. As well as if you remember that hadith in which Rasulullah was describing the arrogance that Allah doesn't like. He said, some Sahabi stood up saying, Ya Rasulullah, is it wrong that some of us likes to wear beautiful clothes and beautiful shoes? Rasulullah said, that is not arrogance, but Allah is beautiful, so Allah loves the beauty. Okay, so now I'm not being offensive, but if you look at Muslim fashion, for example, how Muslims wear, and it's you cannot call it beauty, you know. You cannot call it beauty. For example, why it should be haram for me, even if I'm sheikh, to wear suit and beautiful shade, for example, what do they call it? For example, beautiful pants, beautiful like shoes. So being beautiful, handsome, why is it against Islam? So why, if I want to be Imam Abdul Qadir Jailani, I have to look very ugly? Okay, Imam Abu Hanifa used to, as you know, there are two disagreements. Abu Hanifa Malik on one side, Imam Ahmad on the other side. Imam Ahmad used to encourage the Darwishi type of clothing and everything, life also. But Abu Hanifa and Malik, they used to encourage the students of knowledge to be beautiful and wear the expensive clothes. Abu Hanifa used to say, hadith in which Rasulullah says, if Allah grants something to someone, Allah loves to see it on his slave. And he used to say, knowledge is the highest grant. So if Allah granted you knowledge, Allah likes to see its effect on you. It means wear beautiful and like handsome clothes, you know. And he used to order his students to make his their sleeve, what do they call it? Sleeves longer, high, because in that time that was the sign of like fashionable thing, you know, as well as to make their turbans higher. But it was applicable in his time because that was the beauty. So it doesn't mean that now if I want to apply what Abu Hanifa said, I will have like a big turbans. And in our time we have its own fashion which called beauty, you know, which called beautiful. Okay, so us being ugly and it doesn't please God and it doesn't please Rasulullah Islam also, you know. So it's our understanding of religion. It's Darwishi understanding of religion. Okay, Allah says, قُلْ مَنْ حَرَّمَ زِينَةَ اللَّهِ الَّتِي أَخْرَجَ لِعِبَادِهِ وَالطَّيِّبَاتِ مِنَ الرِّزْقِ. Saying, O Prophet, ask them, who forbidding you to enjoy the beauty and the good rizq that Allah created for His slaves? So if all of them fruits and vegetables, all of them beauty is not for us, so for whom then? Why Allah created them? Is Allah insane, creating for nothing, you know? So just, well, again, now definitely I'm going to get a new seal, modernist. Sheikh Chanel.
I think the suit was the last straw actually, no one will accept it. Because I think nowadays, even in the top educational institutions in the Western world, the badge of the Muslims is to not to dress in their unique way and to wear like the long Arab clothes specifically, even if it's not Sunnah actually. So now you went against that, so you'll be finished. So yeah, we'll accuse you of being the Gucci Molana or something.
Oh, well, everything is coming from like blocking our brain, you know. So our brothers, they call using the brain philosophy. Now destroy the no one will understand. Because all of the encouragement was about aql in Quran. أَفَلَا تَعْقِلُونَ أَفَلَا تَتَفَكَّرُونَ. Okay, all of them, okay. سُمٌ بُكُمْ عُمْيٌ فَهُمْ لَا يَعْقِلُونَ. All of that to encourage the brain. Now brothers, they did set up different name because they didn't have enough courage to criticize brain, you know. Even now, mashallah, they are criticizing the brain also openly. Okay, so they didn't have enough courage to criticize the brain, so that's why they called brain by different names, so it would give them like permission to criticize. So what did they call it? Kalam, philosophy. Do you understand? So then now criticize and whenever anyone uses brain, they do not say he's using brain, but they will say he's using philosophy. Now gate is open. Okay, I say it is good, performance of Saint Paul of Islam. Saint Paul did so. Even for example, dark age of Catholics. Okay, so just by saying that Earth moves, you would be burned. I think if there wouldn't be media, it would happen with Muslims also. Chopping off the head, you know. Why? Because you say Earth moves, not flat, for example, you know. So alhamdulillah, we were lucky, different to Catholics, but because in our time there is media, people are a bit like scared and ashamed, but yet they're performing it, you know. They're performing it. They're performing it. Okay, so that is Sunnah al-Mu'akkada, okay. Unfortunately, Hanafis, they exaggerate too much, okay. So it's not in Hanafi madhab, it's just extra, understand. وحد المباح. What is the mubah? Mubah, abaha yubiha means permission. Mubah is something that is allowed. Believe me, most of the things in the life of a human being is mubah. Okay, but in our understanding, most of it is either haram or makruh tahriman. But believe me, it's incorrect. Okay, so it's like a religion is establishment. We used to exist. So religion, what is a religion? It came to forbid us from some certain things, sins, okay, and encouraging us to do some certain other things. But the most of it is just left. You want to do, you do. You don't want to do, you do not do. Okay? So, mubah is the majority of the acts of a human being. For example, since you wake up in the morning, what is more? Is it fara'id? I say no. Fara'id is covering your aura, okay, and then praying 5 times, okay, and then things, okay. And what is the haram? So if you are in your house, you cannot commit zina unless if you go, so then it becomes haram for you. But now in here there is no any equipment of zina, so it's not right now. You cannot do it, okay. So most of what you go through within 24 hours is mubah things, okay. And there is disagreement between Hanafis, Shafi'is, Malikis on one side. In terms of Hanbalis, there is 2 opinions, and others from the other side. So we say the initial status of everything is halal, mubah, sorry. Okay. For example, you sitting on the sofa, you eating, you lying down. So initial status of that is mubah. Okay, but Zahiri type of people, they say initial status is haram unless there will be hadith or ayah giving permission. We say it's other way around, Hanafi especially. We say initial status is mubah, al-aslu fil ashya'i ibaha. Initial status is mubah unless if there will be Quran or Sunnah saying that it is prohibited. Okay, but with Zahiris and other people, it is other way around. Okay, now even for example, now people say, did Prophet do it? No, means it's haram. So they're also coming from that mentality. Okay?
Yeah, there's this typical sort of Zahiri, as you say, Wahhabis, and unfortunately I've myself also, just like, yeah, if you're doing something, like, I don't know, bungee jumping, it'll be like, yeah, where's your dalil for this, but you're allowed to, you see it?
Yeah, and even obviously there are 2 things. There are ibadat. The initial status of ibadat is prohibited. Okay? But there is one thing just very important. Even they narrated from someone and they show it, maybe it is good example, but not in the context that brothers are using now. Some of the scholars, he never ate a watermelon.
Yeah.
Very famous.
Yeah.
So he has been asked why, because he said, because I don't know any hadith that Rasulullah has eaten, so I don't know how it should be eaten. In some context, maybe it is good, but look, it has got very like a bad emphasis.
Yeah.
Means everything is haram unless Rasulullah comes to teach us, you know. Do you understand? So it is a bit scary because we say al-aslu fil ashya'i al-ibaha. Initial status of the things is mubah. Watermelon is mubah. Ananas, all of them is mubah, except the things that Rasulullah said do not do. That's it. Okay, pork, okay, blood, dead meat, all of them things, you know. So, the thing that we see within our daily life, most of it is mubah.
So, Sheikh, did you say with ibadah is
tahrim? Al-asl fil ashya. For example, you want to pray 3 rakat of Fajr. Did Rasulullah pray 3 rakat? We say no. Means you cannot pray extra 1 rakat. Or for example, you want to do ruku, but how? Sajda, for example, because you love God more, so you want to give more hardship to yourself, so you want to stand only on your forehead and everything is just lifted. That is your sajda. So that is prohibited. Why? Because that is ibadah. In ibadah, everything is prohibited except what Rasulullah taught us. But in the rest of the things, everything is mubah except what Rasulullah forbidden us.
So today is actually, everyone is treating everything like ibadah in a weird way, but not like properly, like your work should be ibadah, your family life should be ibadah, but making it like
even there was, look, even they went so far, even some of the Hanafis saying that wearing jeans is haram. Why? Because did Rasulullah wear the jeans? It's Hanafis, you know.
We used to say that. We were both Hanafis. No, first in 1998 we were saying it.
Can I ask a question? I think this question is related to the bid'ah issue.
Yeah.
But for example, in Turkey, you know, after Salah,
Yeah.
it's a normal custom. Everybody like do tasbihat
Yeah,
together.
Yeah, yeah.
But we did the same thing here in a masjid in somewhere, and some people came and, what are you doing? This is bid'ah. You can't, you know, do tasbihat together.
Yeah, yeah.
And what can we?
Look.
Yeah.
There is obviously a definition of bid'ah. It is something that does not have root in Islam. That is bid'ah. So, that is bid'ah is only related to the ibadat. Anything else, they cannot be any bid'ah. Cars, clothes, foods, there is no bid'ah. Even some of the brothers said eating many different types of food is bid'ah because Rasulullah never did. So bid'ah can be only in ibadat. What type of ibadat? It is something that does not have a root in Islam. Okay, so now question, in terms of making zikr, does it have a root in Islam or not?
Yeah.
وَاذْكُرُوا اللَّهَ ذِكْرًا كَثِيرًا. As much as you can, you know. وَسَبِّحُوهُ بُكْرَةً وَأَصِيلًا. Okay, in the morning, in the evening, whenever you can. So that has, but doing it in congregation, is it bid'ah? Rasulullah says, whenever slave makes zikr of Allah on his own, Allah remembers him on his own. And if he remembers God in the group, Allah remembers his name in the group which is better than his group. So zikr in congregation is not also bid'ah because it has got a root. Okay, so there is nothing, there is not any bid'ah in here. Okay, so that is one thing. But from the other side, maybe Salafi brothers may ask us, because according to Salafi brothers, what is the bid'ah? Anything, according to them, anything that hasn't been done on that form in the time of Rasulullah alayhi salatu wasalam. So that is bid'ah according to them. So why their definition of bid'ah is incorrect? Because I say, if you know, Rasulullah alayhi salatu wasalam asking, in Mi'raj, Rasulullah heard the voice of the shoes of Bilal radiallahu anhu. Am I right? So then he asked, "Oh Bilal, why I've heard that in Mi'raj, in paradise. Is there anything that you do?" So then Bilal radiallahu anhu said, "Ya Rasulullah, I do not do anything extra in Islam except whenever I make wudu, I pray 2 rakats." Rasulullah said, "So it's because of that then." So I said that is proof of the bid'ah, this type of bid'ah, okay? Because of 2 things. So maybe Salafi brothers may say, so confirmation of Rasulullah made it into the Sunnah. So Rasulullah confirmed 2 things. One is praying 2 rakats of Tahiyyatul Wudu. And the second thing, setting up something that Rasulullah didn't do, setting up as long as it has a root in Islam. Am I right? Because Rasulullah didn't say, why you did not ask permission from me first, if you can do wudu after you sing wudu or not. He did not say that, but he confirmed that. So Rasulullah confirmed 2 things. One is 2 rakat namaz, tahiyatul masjid, and the second is to make ijtihad to set up something which has a root in Islam, which is namaz after wudu. Am I right? So I say that is the proof of bid'ah being something which does not have a root in Islam. Okay? Okay. Inshallah, we're going to have a short break here, inshallah.